Hey everybody, it's Rustin with Metalholic and the Idaho Music Scene, and with us, an Idaho boy himself, Sam Hughes of the Sammus Theory. You'd think this band was named after you or something with that name. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. It's good to talk with you again. You guys had a brand new album released, your third album entitled Anonymous, follow-up to Trusting the Liar. You guys got to be pretty jazzed just to have a new album out.
It feels good, man. I mean, when you tour on an album for 2 years, it's kind of nice to retire some of the songs and do some new things. So it's been fun working through these and getting a new album out there for our fans, and we're gonna hit the road and see what kind of response we get from our fans on them.
Well, I finally got a chance to listen to the album last night. I only got to go through it one time, but everything I heard just on that first spin, pretty exciting. So I'm thinking you've got a whole new slew of fans you're gonna draw on this tour around.
Thank you, man. I sure hope so.
Absolutely. So did you approach this album any differently? What were you looking to do with this album that you maybe didn't do with Trusting the Liar?
You know, this album was nice. It was a lot more prepared, I guess. Trusting the Liar was one that we went, we should put out a new album, and we were kind of scrambling, trying to get things put together, and we were writing. It felt good. I mean, there's nothing that was wrong with it in my eyes. It felt like a good album. It was solid, but the time to do it properly wasn't there. I mean, our resources weren't there enough, I guess. You know, we couldn't have the studio for a certain amount of time, and it was just tough. This one was different, though. We went into it going, okay, if we're going to do an album, we need to do it the right way. We need to have the proper time to focus on writing. We need to have the proper time to go into the studio and record them and get them knocked out. And we have to have the proper mix engineer for it. And that's where we reached out to Evan Rodamichi from Cage 9 to do it. And he ended up co-writing some of the stuff on this album. And it made us stronger, I think, as musicians, because some of the things he was coming up with were a little bit out of our comfort zone, and it was nice to have that and experiment and have the time to do it. So,
well, and he performed on one of the songs too, "Wasted, No One Wants You." How did you guys choose that particular song for him to actually be part of?
He actually, that song. I remember we were kicking back vocal ideas and everything, and he sends over that song, and it's completely done with vocals on it. I had sent him over the music, and he sends over the song, and he's singing on it, but he's not really singing. It's kind of like talk singing, and it was kind of a joke. You know, I think he was kind of teasing some of the party bands a little bit. You know, like, every band has a song about just being drunk and you know, and so I don't think he was expecting us to use it, and I thought it was great. I was like, man, this is awesome. I love this song. And so we ended up using it, and that was it. And I told him, I said, you wrote the lyrics, I want you to sing the chorus, and he was all excited about it, and that's how that one came out.
You know, and it's funny because it's a lot of times those are the songs that become the biggest hits or some of the biggest fan favorites is when you sort of throw away that, you know, oh no, this is just sort of it. That's how Dude Looks Like a Lady came about, you know? It was a joke. And the producer, the songwriter said, no, that's a hit right there. That just the title alone, you know, bring it out. So. Yeah.
Well, it was fun to cut loose a little bit, you know, because I think there was a lot of pressure on this album, having it be, it's the third album coming out. It has to be better than the other two, and you have that going in your mind the whole time. But then you realize it doesn't have to be better. Just do your thing. You know, we need to just do our thing, and it'll turn out how it's going to turn out. And I think we would all be proud of ourselves if we weren't trying to beat our other albums and just be musicians writing an album, you know. And so that was the different approach that we had done with it, and it was nice. It was very fun to cut loose a little bit on some of that. So
yeah, and that's always a great thing too. I'm actually talking to a band later this week where their side project, where they said they could just cut loose and be selfish and just do their thing and have fun, turned out to be the band that they ultimately wanted to be in, because they weren't trying to do what everybody expected or what they thought they should be doing, and just let it go.
Absolutely. And you know, and it's kind of it's kind of crazy when you think about it, and you think there's all this pressure that you have to do some. This one has to be the best album yet. This has to outdo our other one. You start thinking about it, and you go, well, now wait a minute. Like, our fans became our fans because they like what we're doing. You know, if we lose that element to us by trying to make better songs, you know, you're not making better songs. You're sacrificing artistic value to try and accomplish something that you would be doing in the first place, just writing as a group and doing it, you know?
Exactly. So I know it's too much time to go through all of them, but are there one or two songs on the album that have like pretty cool stories attached, either how they came about or the story behind them, or anything that you can share with us?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Let me think here. I won't tell you which song, but there's a song on there. I'm sure you can probably guess. It's about an ex-member of ours that was. It was nice to finally get out. You know, you kind of hold things and you move on. You find another person, you move on, you keep going, and then finally processed what had happened. This falling out that I had with one of my best friends. And it's weird, man. It's a weird thing to have happen. But there's that one, and then the song "Numb." I think that one was nice because it just happened. You know, I sat down to write in New Mexico when I was visiting my family, and it was the first song I had written for the album. And I sat down. It was one of those perfect moments where you just start playing, and 2 hours later it's done, and you go, wow, you know, no vocals or anything, but just musically it's all done. And then vocally it came out very, very smooth as well. So I think that was one of those magic songs for the album where everything comes together so insanely smooth, because there's, you know, you always run into some roadblocks here and there with what you want to do, where you want to go with a song, and to make it its best, you know.
Right. And "Numb" was the first song you put out there for the fans too, so there you go.
Absolutely.
And talking about what you were speaking about just a moment ago, with the exception of a change at bass, the lineup in Sammus Theory has remained together since the beginning, and you guys have been together for nearly a decade. That's pretty impressive for any band, much less a hard touring independent band.
Thank you. Well, we've got the core of us, the three of us. Jeremy, Kyle, and myself have been together for a very long time, and then we had the unfortunate, you know, we lost a drummer and a bass player, and but I mean the lineup hasn't changed for a while now, and I think it's the core of us have been together forever, so it's good. You learn how each other work together. You know, I don't know. You learn how everybody works together. It becomes easier to communicate and talk about things and do what you need to do. So
becomes a second family.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and like I said, you guys have been together almost a decade as a band. Have you changed over that time span in your mind as a musician? Well, I'm sure you have, but if so, how? How do you see the change? I
feel like I've changed personally as a musician a lot. The way I look at it, when I first started this band, you know, I guess as you can tell, I was a kid. I didn't know about the music industry. You don't know about songwriting. You don't know about it. You just go into it and go, oh, I'm going to be in a band. I'm going to do this. And you know, looking back on it, I was kind of fearless with it to a point of making dumb mistakes, you know, instead of being more careful. And I think nowadays, as a musician, I feel much more confident in what I do. You know, everything that I do musically, I can say confidently whether it's something that should go out or something that shouldn't. You know, and being a musician, I think it's important to be able to tell the difference. What sounds like this band, what doesn't. You write, you know, sometimes you write songs that just, where did that come from? You know, and I think being able to put yourself out of your own shoes for a minute and look at it and go, that's not us. I'm very proud of that song, but we can't put that out as us, you know.
It's always hard, too, if you write something you really like it. It's like, yeah, but it just really doesn't fit. So
yeah.
Now, as we talked about your growth as a musician, but as a person, your personal growth, has that impacted the way you approach your music?
I still write the same, I think. As far as, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It doesn't feel like I approach the music differently because of personal change. I guess I do when it comes to the production side of things, though. You know, You write a song and you go through the motions of writing a song and doing what you do. And I think on the back side of it, when you're finally putting it down into, that tangible form, you're a little bit more critical. And I think I'm more critical about everything that we do now than I was before, making sure that it's the best song it could be, because you never, ever, ever want to put out something that you're not 150% proud of, because then if you're not proud of what you're putting out, how are other people going to be proud of what you're putting out, So. Well,
how are they going to believe it if you don't?
Exactly. You can't sell something as being believable, as being something that's part of you, unless it is part of you. You know what I mean? And I think there are quite a few bands that forget that. You can't tell somebody that this is my life, and music is my life and what I do if you're not doing it that way.
I guess I always wonder when I ask that question, I wonder because when you first start out, 10 years ago, you were probably in more of a, like you said, free-spirited, carefree party space. Now 10 years later, you're a little bit more mature. You see all the stuff that's going on in the world, all the politics, the economy, all that stuff. And I always wonder if that, because you've grown up and matured and you think about that stuff more now than, say, partying like you did 10 years ago, if that changes the way, not just lyrically, but just the emotion and stuff that goes into the music. So,
yeah, it does have an impact on there. I wouldn't say it's as much of an impact that's noticeable to anybody else, but I think maybe for me personally, when I'm writing and things, I'm more conscious of where it's going to go and how it's going to go and, things like that. So
now you guys bust your asses every album and every tour. Your music is better than a lot of the crap that's littering the radio and the bigger stages. How do you guys handle seeing lesser and often lazier bands finding success while you're out there earning it one fan at a time?
The way that we look at that is, at some point, laziness is going to catch up. If there's a band, good for them. They're doing things. They're getting recognized. They're doing what they want to do. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of them for doing it. But laziness will catch up, and it's going to be an unfortunate moment when they realize that. But it's too late, So I guess when I see other bands doing that, you have that in the back of your mind that I really hope that they wake up and they realize this is a business. They have to work at this in order to do it the right way. Because if they burn out those 2 months or 2 years or however long that they're in the spotlight, they burn that out partying and not caring about anything that they're doing with their career, then it's gonna fizzle just as fast as it blew up.
True. Okay. We're getting to our Zen spot here for this question. You guys recently did a fan-answered question and answer video, and you were talking about wanting to play with bands like Kiss, Metallica, Motley Crue, who came up in that era of separation from their fans, that air of mystery, if you will. Yet you guys said, I think on the very next question, you absolutely don't want any of that bullshit. You want direct connection with your fans. Do you think that lack of mystique, if you will, is keeping rock from building iconic or legendary bands like another Zeppelin or another Van Halen or another Kiss?
I think it has its ups and its downs. I wouldn't say it's necessarily keeping anything from being that way. I remember when I was younger, you look at those bands and and they're almost like untouchable. They're untouchable bands. And in today's world, there's internet, there's people with videos on YouTube, everything. If you're one of those bands now, you're completely caught off guard all the time, always in the spotlight. I think it's a very important thing to cater to what's going on and how people are growing up now. I don't necessarily think it was a bad thing that it was that way before. That was just how it was at the time. People loved it. They loved having this separation. But for today, where we're at today, we absolutely love talking with our fans. We love meeting people and hanging out with them, and that seemed to work better for us than if we were to just disappear and not ever talk to anybody and have this mystique or separation. because now today it doesn't come across as mystique. It comes across as arrogance,
right.
You know? It's a very different thing. Now you don't talk to people, you're a jerk, you know? And I think for bands that are still coming up and working hard, I think it's definitely important to make a connection with those people who are supporting what you're doing. I think it's very important to be able to shake people's hands, look them in the face. That's something that's missing in a lot of bands these days. They don't go on tour. They're not really that concerned. I don't mean a ton of them. There are bands out there who do this that work very hard and do their thing well. But I don't know. It's important. It's very important to make that connection with your fans, and I don't think it's keeping anybody from being legendary. I think just the whole mindset is shifted from what it was in the 80s now with music.
Right. I just think it's sort of interesting because, like, if you look at a band like Led Zeppelin where they had a manager, Peter Grant, who really played on that whole mystique thing, it's like taking nothing away from Led Zeppelin because they were a good band, but they wouldn't be nearly the band they are had they not built on that whole mystique thing. They would have just been an average, decent rock band, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, you know, and it works for some people. It really does. I mean, I think with something with that, you have to decide at the beginning of your career what you're going to do. Like, are you going to be one of those bands that that's very passionate about making sure that you connect with your fans, or are you going to be a band that's going to use the separation as a marketing tool, you know? And I think it works both ways. I think for us, it's very important for us to be able to communicate and talk with our fans directly. You know, that's something that's very important to us.
Now, you guys spend a ton of time on the road each year. Being cramped in quarters and all that goes with touring is hell on your system. What do you do to keep? What do you do to keep yourselves healthy? Because when you're cramped up like that, you know, it's like one person gets sick, you all get sick. It's hard for your immune system to stay strong. What do you guys do to try and keep yourself healthy when you're on the road?
I am the worst person to answer that question. I'm sick all the time. It's so tough. What we do to try to stay somewhat healthy is we try to get when we have the chance to sleep, you sleep. You don't spend it staying awake and sleeping an hour. You have to get sleep. We do the hand sanitizer thing. If somebody's sick, every chance we get, they're washing their blankets. They need to wash their blankets, wash their pillows, the pillowcase, and then we kind of quarantine them. You know, here's some vitamin C and some Vicks or something. Get out of here. Go in the other room, or you're back in your bench. Like, you're going in the back and you're going to stay there. You know, we kind of have that rule that if you're sick, be conscious of it and don't cough on other people. And if you're driving, don't grab the steering wheel, cough on it, and then leave. You got to wipe it down. And so there's little ways to keep it from spreading, but it doesn't always work. And I'm notorious for being sick on tour because I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure it out. but yeah, it's definitely tough.
Echinacea, brother, echinacea. Okay, so
there you go.
All bands have their inside jokes or shticks or things that, it's like just the little inside gags and bits and whatnot. Are there one or two of yours you're willing to share?
I wouldn't say that we have bits or anything like that. I can't really grab onto anything that would make any sense right now. I suppose it's one of those things where, like, if you came and you hung out with us for a day, we have a way of communicating with each other that would make no sense to anybody else in certain things. Like, when we're talking, we're telling jokes and things. We have a way of doing it that it goes so far in the wrong direction, but where one person leaves off, the other person picks it up and keeps going. It's this natural thing. We've been doing it since we've been together. And I think when people actually hang out with us, they go, "Oh my God, like these guys are nuts," But so there's nothing like directly I can tell you about, but we do that a lot, and I don't remember half the shit we talk about. So.
Well, so besides the music, the new tour, the new record, and everything, what's the hot topic of conversation in the band right now?
Aside from doing anything music stuff, oh man, beer.
So
beer
things haven't changed all that much over the years.
No, it's all right. Yeah, beer and barbecue. What we're gonna do in between tour stops, things like that. It's fun to it's fun to map out where you're going to be and try and figure out, oh, we're going to be close to this monument or something. Let's go there. Just, you know, and you try and make tour a little bit more travel-y rather than work. You know, you want to live up on this tour and have a good time with it. So
yeah,
I think that's a big thing with us. It
would really suck at the end of your career if you said, God, I toured everywhere and I saw nothing, you know? So
yeah, it's funny. There are times where I look back and I kick myself because we've been to Texas multiple times, and I've literally been 2 blocks from the Alamo a bunch of times, and I still have not seen the Alamo, and I kick myself with that. I'm going, dude, I was right there, but then you go, oh, I'm too tired, I better sleep in another hour, instead of like, oh, I'm going to get up and do something fun, you know, and then you kick yourself later. So I think with this tour, we're going to try a lot to get out there and actually do more fun stuff.
Dude, so, I can't tell you, I lived in the Bay Area for most of my adult life, and I think I went to the ocean twice. I moved to Phoenix. I'm there for 7 years, and all I can think is, God, I wish I lived near the ocean.
Isn't that funny how that works?
I'm telling you.
It's crazy. You have the opportunity, and you don't take it, and then later you're going, dude, come on. Like, what was wrong with me?
Exactly.
Should have gone to do it.
All right,
then you can say, I've been there.
So you guys are getting ready to go out on another big tour, as you always do. So everybody make sure you get on the Sammus Theory website or check their Facebook for all their tour dates. And, of course, I got to give you the hometown nitpick now that I'm not in the same hometown with you. You guys played 4 dates in Idaho last year, you being an Idaho Falls boy, but this time you're only hitting Idaho Falls and Jerome. There's no Boise Meridian date. What's up with that?
We're still working on dates. It's still a little bit out there. I've got a couple phone calls in for the Boise area. I would love to hit Boise again. That's a market that it's really difficult for out-of-town bands to tap into it unless they have a big following there. So still trying to get our hands in there and do that one, and looking at a possible Coeur d'Alene date too. So
cool.
Trying to make it another 4 in there. We love Idaho. I love Idaho anyway.
Well, if you do, trust me, I will get the word out and see what we can do on this end. So before we get out of here, just for fun, the pointless question of the week. Which TV show or series would you love to be a part of, either as yourself or as a character?
What TV show or series? You know what? Breaking Bad. I would do horrible things to be on that show. That's the band's all-time favorite show. Like, every time they've done a new season, we're always somewhere. We get lucky. We're always somewhere we can sit down and watch it. So it's an event. It's like an event all day. All right, we got to ramp up. Oh, it's an hour. It's coming up in an hour. We got to get. Oh, you got popcorn. We got to go to the store. We got to do. You know, and it's just a huge thing, and it's fun. I love that show. One of my favorite shows of all time.
That's funny. I always love asking that question because every band's a little bit different. I just talked to Chris Howarth from In This Moment. Theirs is The Walking Dead, so you know.
Dude, that's the other one. That's side by side to Breaking Bad. So good for them. That's great.
Awesome. Sam Hughes of the Sammus Theory, the new album out this week entitled Anonymous. Make sure you get out and get it. Check their Facebook and their website for the tour date. Sam, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you when you hit town.